5 years ago, Ernie Reyes Jr. received a devastating diagnosis, and the shattering news shook him to his core and threatened to knock him out. But relying on a lifetime spent in the martial arts, a lifetime spent mastering his mind and his body, Ernie is like the quintessential phoenix rising, and his story is far from over as he continues to grow and develop and teach and inspire as the brilliant bright light that he has always been. I hope that you enjoy this audio conversation with Ernie Reyes Jr. as much as I did having it. I'm getting to have a conversation with my dear friend Ernie Reyes Jr., who everybody knows as Keno, and many other things, and we will get to that. We have been good friends for the last 30 years. We don't always get a chance to see each other, but when we do, we literally pick up right where we left off. I love this man so much. He has such an incredible story and an incredible journey that he's been on, and I am absolutely thrilled that you are here today, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I love you more than words. You know that. You know that. We started talking because we had done our interview with Ken Scott and had talked about, you know, what your work was like as a stuntman, and then also early work but there was another conversation that was kind of happening simultaneously, which was about having a vision for your life that just propelled you forward. And it really started for you when you were a little guy, and how it has come in to support you now when you need it tremendously. So can we walk back a little bit in time and just talk about you as a little itty bitty kid?
Sure.
Because Bruce Lee was like your hero. Yeah?
Yes.
Is that where it started?
Yeah, well, actually, it started with my dad because my dad was a martial arts competitor. He was a national champion in Taekwondo. And so that was like, you know, my earliest memories of my dad doing martial arts, traveling with him to tournaments, competing, that kind of thing. And then when I started training, yeah, Bruce Lee had, you know, had just passed away, but he was on the forefront of everybody's mind. This is, you know, in the 70s. And he was definitely my hero. You know, I wanted to be like Bruce Lee. He set a blueprint of like what was possible, you know, for somebody who kind of looked like me. I had the same haircut as, you know, all these different things, like, oh man, you know, he was able to do that, you know, and that gives you kind of the freedom to dream, you know, at that age. Just like, oh man, I wish I could do that. And then that, you know, wishing and hoping turns into like taking definitive actions and steps to actually making that happen.
Right. And the thing that I find so one of the fascinating parts of martial arts to me is the mental discipline that goes along with the physical discipline. It is so mind over matter, and so much of command, a mastery that has to be achieved in order to do well in the art form.
Yeah, you know, so when I was young, you know, I was a competitor and I would travel all across the United States doing competitions pretty much like every single weekend.
Right.
And so that was kind of our day to day was training, go to school, and more training, and then get ready to leave out of town on Friday to go to a tournament. You know, and it was about sports and it was about competition and it was that kind of thing. We're talking about like, I'm like 8 years old at this point, right? And then you develop over the years, talking about, you know, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever, you develop a kind of martial arts mindset, right? In everything that you're doing.
What's the martial arts mindset?
The martial arts mindset is,
I'm sure it's different for each person, but for you.
For me, it's about being, in control of one's own life, and that's a fight and a battle to do that, right? And that's where the martial arts training comes in. It's about, what are the universal principles that you have come to understand and that you drill out in physical motion that allows you to apply these concepts and ideas into day-to-day living, because that's where the real fight is, right? It's like,
Right.
how are you going to respond? So when I was a kid, it was about competition, and it was about, hey, trying to be the best and that kind of thing. And then as I started transitioning into films and television, it was that same martial arts mindset that allowed me to believe that it was even possible, because there were no Asians on television at the time.
Right.
There was, there was just nothing there. It was just going to be
Where are
me.
your role models, right?
Yeah, there's nothing. It's just Bruce Lee, and that was in a whole nother era, but the martial arts mindset allows you to look at things like, climbing the Himalayan mountains and going, yeah, but I can do it, right? And it's just from that training every day, training through training your body, you're training your mind. And but the real martial arts, the real benefit of my martial arts training came when I was kind of like in my 30s to now, over the last 20 years, because that's when life starts hitting you, right? It's like, it's all fun and games and you're doing your thing, and then life kicks in, right? And it's relationships, it's finances, it's career, it's everything, single thing that you can imagine, right? And that's where the training came in, because that was a long. Go ahead.
Well, I think that one of the things that people, who are watching this, who know us from our careers, a lot of times make the assumption that if you're an actor, if you've had a successful career, that it's kind of like an easy breezy street. And it's not. It's a really challenging profession. It has its highs, it has its lows. There are times when you're busy, there are times when you're not. I want to cut to when we reconnected 5 years ago. Was that about right? It was about 5 years ago. You would know that time a little bit better. We hadn't seen each other at that point, I think, in 25 years or something. It had been a really, really long time. And we were at a Comic-Con together, and I was so excited because you were there. I was excited to see everybody who was there, but you just always have such a special spot in my heart. I mean, you were 16, 17.
Yeah.
We met, and you were adorable, and you're just, to me, a bright light. And it was like, bing, there's this beautiful bright light, just the same as the way that I remembered you. You just bopped around that convention center, and I was just madly in love all over again. And then we were heading home on our flight, and you really confided in me and with what was going on in your life. Was really challenging.
And I always hold you in a special place in my heart, because that exact moment, that was probably you're talking close to the bottom for me, just in terms of life challenges, getting the best of you, right? All the way around. And it wasn't just one thing, it was everything, right? And I remember, I was probably at that moment in time really just trying to search for what is the right thing for me to be doing.
Right.
I mean, it's just, you're basically, in a big confusion. And I heard you over talking to one of the fans that were standing in line waiting for a picture and autograph, and you were they asked you about some of the work that you're doing, and you talked about how you were working with other young artists, and you you said something along the lines of how important it was for artists to take care of themselves and nurture themselves and be good to themselves, right? And that was just like really like just the place that you were coming from, you know, talking to a complete stranger, but talking to them about something that's like really true and to who you are. And I could recognize the authenticity. You know, I was just like, wow, this is what I need to hear. I need more of that. I think I even came up to you later. Yeah, man, I heard you talking about, you know, work that you do with young actors and whatever. And it was like, you know, it's those life skills that that we are missing when we're going through it all, right? And you either learn through trial and error, or you have mentors or people like that that hopefully can save you a little bit of the anguish, you know. But you helped me, and I had just had basically I was just recently had kidney failure. And so I was on dialysis, and but I still had to work. I still had to, like, you know, and I'm just trying to figure it out. So I'm like, okay. And, you know, my sister had started a GoFundMe, you know, on her own accord to kind of just help me get it together. I mean, I didn't know what the hell was going on, realistically.
You're so young. I mean, you don't think of, when you look at you, it's like fit, able, young, vital, kidney failure. Those they don't all go together in a sentence. And so that had to have just been like, what the fuck? What?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you know, I mean, the first hearing of that, you just get crumbled. You just get crushed. I mean, you're just crushed. You know what I mean? It's just like, and then that's what it is. But, you know, in that moment, you know, after you have that initial like shock of it all, I mean, you pretty much have whatever your response is going to be. And that's going to pretty much dictate at least your near future, you know what I mean, is like. And this is where the martial arts training comes in. Whereas like, okay, now I thought it was for sports, and I thought it was for me dreaming big to make it to the entertainment business. And I'm just a kid from Northern California. And like, I thought it was all of that was like for my goals and, you know, accomplishing my goals that the training was for. And then it was like, okay, now we're really into it. Now it's about how you manage the situation. And that's, you know, that's the only thing that really got me through, because I knew, I was like, it makes no sense to me even in the environment, when things are negative and whatever, to latch on to that energy, right? And even in present time, you know, with everything going on, I maintain and protect myself and what's happening was inside of me, and not allow it to get too disrupted by what things are going on outside. But it's been a crazy journey. But, you know, I'll be honest, I'm really happy to have walked that journey. As crazy as that sounds, I'm super grateful, because I know where I was prior to starting that journey. I know where I was prior, right just before I met you again, where it was like I was crushed. I knew right before where I was at. And where I was at and where I'm at now are galaxies apart, just in terms of perspective of life.
Right. Well, it's so interesting to me, because I think that when we're blessed with having put some years on our lives, that what I've found is that you can't usually see the path that you're on. Like, it makes no sense. It goes in weird directions. But when you look in the rear view mirror, you start to see the path that you just walked, and certain things make sense now. Your martial arts training was something that actually, it did many things, but it was in place for you for now, when you needed it, when your life was on the line, when you're facing, you know, the possibility of leaving the planet earlier than you ever anticipated. And I would imagine for people who don't have a martial arts background, one of the things that you and I had talked about, I mean, it's not like you heard your diagnosis and was just like, I can beat this. I mean, I'm sure
No,
there were
no.
moments of like, and lots of them of like, oh my God, no. I mean, the depression and the fear and the anxiety and how am I going to pay for this? And how is this going to go?
Yeah.
My kids and all of that.
Yeah, and that doesn't go away. It's still here today, right? Because those things are all still, you know, I'm not in a position at this point there where everything is completely stabilized, right? So we're still in the fight.
Yeah.
We're still in the fight by far, but yeah, there's all of that goes along with it, from hopelessness to depression to anxiety to fear to bargaining with the universe of like, well, come on, please just give me back my powers and then I'll never whatever.
Right.
Right.
I'll be
like, yeah, I'll be a good person. Yeah.
So
Right?
when
It's
you're in that place where like it's a shit show.
Yeah.
And you're going down in flames, like what do you do?
Yeah,
like what do you rely on? Like is there like what are your things that help lift you back up? Because I think people are drowning now. You know, the whole world has kind of melted and exploded and turned upside down, and people are really, really lost. And they, you know, sometimes when you get into that depression, it's hard to get out of it. Or when you get into that negativity, it's hard. It's like, yeah, be positive.
Yeah.
Kiss my positive ass,
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
And it's like, what do you do?
Yeah. So that's a really good question, because that's the reality, right? That is the reality. You can have a positive attitude when like whatever, but it's like, can you have a positive attitude when you're the last thing that you're thinking about is being positive right now?
Right.
You know, you're angry, you're pissed, you're just falling apart, you're whatever it is that you're going through. Yeah, that emotion can stand in the way of you actually making decisions and choices that are actually going to help you actually dig yourself up out of the hole. You know, for me, that's also where the training comes back in. And it doesn't even like martial arts could be just exercise, right? Because early on, you know, the martial arts outside of the competition, what I realized as I got older was like, I was like, it was a moment in time where no time existed. I was just doing my thing and I was enjoying myself and having fun. And that was it. Nothing else existed. And that really helped me all through my life, because even in my 20s and 30s, when things were hard, but they weren't, I was making maybe harder than, you know, they should have been, right? Yeah,
I've never done that.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You know,
There's an easy way, there's a hard way. Oh, let's do the hard way.
Yeah, let's do the hard way, you know. But I forgot what I was about to say.
Well,
Anyways.
when you're trying to pull yourself back up and you rely on the martial arts to you know, focus you.
So like, exercise does change your state, right? How you feel. And exercise doesn't mean like craziness, right? It just means like it can be go for a walk for 20 minutes. Right.
You can get up at the computer and move your body, jump up and down and sit back down.
Anything, you know? And so because that was always there, I always kind of went to that, you know, like, oh, just go train, exercise. And then in the process of doing that, especially because of the movements that you're doing and the kind of mindset that you get yourself into, right, is you're training for the fight, right? Whatever that means, with whatever that means, but it's a certain mindset. Well, that process allows you to go back into life knowing that you need to have that mindset. Like, hey, I'm paying attention. I'm aware right? I'm cognizant of everything that's happening around me. You don't want to fool yourself and then get blindsided by life because you didn't want to actually look at it for what it
Right, that's
was.
huge. That's huge.
Yeah, so it's like same thing when you're in the fight. You got to know your strengths and weaknesses and everything that's going on in order to formulate a plan that will you can actually succeed versus telling yourself something that isn't true
Mhm.
so that you can feel better, but then you're setting yourself up for failure,
Right. I think
you
there's
know.
a balance to that. I mean, I think that, and it's one of the things we've talked about, and it's so important in both of our lives, is a mindfulness about life. Like, we're not in control of what happens. You were not in control of the fact that you had kidney failure. We're not in control of the fact that COVID has swept the planet. We're not in control of the fact that people that we love die or leave us, or we don't get the opportunities that we want. Or I just had a friend, her house burnt down. Like, nothing is salvageable, and they didn't have renter's insurance.
Oh
And
my God.
yeah, I mean, it's like shit is happening on the planet. And so we can't control that. But the thing that I keep reminding myself always, and other people, and you and I have talked about this a lot, is I do have control over how I'm going to deal with what's going on in my life. Like, I can go up in flames with everything, or I can feel this horrible feeling, let it go through my body, maybe start moving it so I can move that energy out, get a little bit of clarity, and then make a plan that I am in charge of. And sometimes it's just as simple as, I believe that there's a solution here. I can't see it right now, but I'm going to believe that one exists. I'm going to ask for help. I'm
Yes.
going to pray. You know, if faith is something in your life, do that. I'm going to go be in the trees. I'm going to go watch a movie that inspires me to, so that like I can get off this subject for a minute. It's like we do have some control over this. I'm going to decide not to write. I always say, like, don't write a horror script about what's happening in your life. Write a happy story. And I know it's like you have to deal with reality, but sometimes I think there's like a balance there of, if you're so focused on reality, it's hard to imagine a better outcome. So you have to have like a little bit, for me, and it could be my fatal flaw in life, I don't know, but I do have this sort of pathological thing that I do where I'm like looking for, sometimes I'll say, what is life trying to teach me right now? What can I get out of this? Like, what is one thing that I can find in this situation that I can use? Like, you think of anybody who's been through some kind of tragedy, or you watching a movie and they're stuck, you know, someplace, and they just use the tools that are around them to try to get themselves out of the predicament that they're in. And I think that sometimes opening your mind to, like, maybe there's a greater possibility here.
Yeah. Well, and that's like what I was saying about the kidney failure. So you think, oh, this is all happening to me, whatever, whatever, whatever. This is all bad news. It's all fucked up. Like,
Right.
it's all those things. But now that I'm here and I've got 5 years of doing dialysis 3 times a week, I'm
And
here.
tell
I'm
me
getting,
about dialysis. What time of day do you do your dialysis?
so I get there at like 4:45 a.m. And that's basically about a 4-hour process. And we get done, you're pretty kind of washed out, tired. Again, my martial arts, I grew up tired. I've been training my whole life. We're always tired. You're always tired. It's like you have energy, then you work out really hard. Now you're exhausted, right?
Right.
So I've been tired. I've been tired my whole life, So I'm able to just kind of, I just keep going on with the day. You know what I mean? I pick up and I just keep moving forward. But like I was saying, is like it was and I've always known this, but this kind of puts it to the test. Is like in the face of adversity and challenge and loss, right, is an opportunity for growth, right? It's there, it's designed for that, right? Life is designed for us to, I believe anyways, life is designed for you to continue to evolve in a positive direction, that, you know, and you have the free choice and will on how to do that and what to go, how you want to go about all of that, right? But it's designed for that. And then life happens and you're like, oh, this, that could be relationships, could be career, whatever. But if you figure it out, it's a problem basically, right? Well, problems, when they're solved, you get to level up. And guess what? You're going to have another bigger problem.
Yes.
Right? It's just like, you know, you're struggling for finances to survive and this and that. And then you become, you know, a multi-millionaire. Then what are you doing? Now you're trying to help people that don't have, right? And then it's like, there's still more to go. It just becomes a different type of challenge, right? Once you can get past all these kind of bare basic things like health and career. But this whole thing that's happened more recently is
things that are the most important things, where it's like really truly like the number, I always say your number one wealth is in your health. And if you don't have your health, it doesn't matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter how much success you have, it doesn't matter what you have, everything is pinned on your health. And
yeah, because if you don't have that, nothing matters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you know, one of the things that is interesting to me that about you is that you are living with this challenge. It is not resolved right now. It is ongoing.
Yeah.
And you are still this beautiful, bright light. Like, you still bring that forward. And I know we all have shitty days where it's like, ain't no light here today, folks.
Yeah.
We're taking a break. We're just going to feel bad. And I'm sure on days when it's like, okay, that just kicked my ass, I'm not doing anything today.
Yeah.
But when we just keep going and we just like, okay, I'm going to make something out of this. I'm going to make something out of this. We just talked about this the other day. It's like, I have this saying that I really do believe is a important one. I have a couple. One is, life works out the best for those who make the best of the way that life works out. And you could easily have let this take you down and you know, and not thrive at all. Or you could say, fuck you, I'm on, I'm gonna make a plan. Because if nothing else, I mean, and we talked about this a little while ago. I mean, this really makes you face your own mortality, which is so important, because I feel like, especially in this COVID time, everyone's so afraid of dying, they've stopped living. And it's not everybody, but a lot of people. I know friends who are so afraid to do anything. It's like, you're still alive. Live. You die from, you know, we don't wish it, we don't want it, but live while you're alive. And I think that everybody's gonna die. Well, we're all people will die. Hopefully,
well, people don't want to accept that reality.
And you've had
people don't want to accept that reality. And but that's where the growth process, because say if you contemplate on life and death for a few hours 3 times a week, you're going to come to some sort of conclusion about things, right? But when you don't do that, you've come to a conclusion without even realizing that you've come to a conclusion. And it's limited by not having spent the time or energy or thought to even wrestle with the idea. Because people don't want to think about it. Oh, what? I don't want to, don't talk like that, whatever. Versus like, hey, you know, we all have an expiration date, and it is whatever it is going to be. And that's all true. And how that dictates your actions when you really lock into it, you're on dialysis, then you're like, okay, so I am going to for sure die, even if I get a kidney transplant at some point. And I've thought about it for so many hours now, years on end, right? That you come to a conclusion of like, okay, that's just part of the process, and everybody's going to go through that. Everybody has gone through that since the beginning of mankind, right? And your children will go through it, and grandchildren, and everybody else. So it's already, it's nothing that's foreign to the process, right? But now you being cognizant of that, not thinking of it, but having thought about it and brought it to the forefront of your mind, what you do spend your time doing and the actions, you take that a little bit more seriously in a good way, that, hey, there's a finite amount of time here. Whatever you're going to do it now and work hard on it, because it's not going to be easy, but you will arrive where you want to go, where you want to be, if you just put your head down, stay consistent, stay disciplined, stay organized, keep dreaming, and just go for it. You know, when you realize that, hey, it's a finite amount of time, it changes things, because you're like, hey, come on, let's go. Every day is an opportunity to get a little bit more done, to
Yeah.
leave whatever you're going to leave behind when you're no longer here.
Right. It's a real Buddhist practice. I'm
Yeah.
not a Buddhist, but I think Buddhism, I'm fascinated by it.
I'm a very bad one, though.
You're a bad Buddhist? I know a lot of bad Buddhists. But that practice of contemplating the inevitability of of your leaving the planet, of your leaving your body, of the inevitable shifting ground underneath us, that it's really not stable. It's really always in fluctuation. The one thing you can count on is that it's all going to change, always, including your body. You know, every 7 years, don't they say you get like a whole new body? And the body that I had, you know, when we worked together, that body has died. That body doesn't exist anymore. And so we go through these deaths in our lives, and there's something positive about it. Like, I think people think it's really morbid to contemplate that, but actually there's a real value in contemplating that, because you live more mindfully, more meaningfully with, like, what has it done to your gratitude?
Oh, I mean, that is the key, because that's what allows you to stay in a certain zone. Because as soon as you get out of that, it's like a downward spiral, you know, and that locked in. That was a thing. You know, I was always kind of, I was grateful to an extent, because it's layers to the gratitude. It's like, well, how grateful are you, and what are you grateful for? You know, and you know, through this whole process, knowing that, shoot, I'm alive. I'm grateful to be alive, because it's like you're so close to the edge that you're like, one more step, and that's it, man. I mean, that's like, the story's over, you know, and you get so close to that, but then you come back and you're like, whoo, man, that was crazy. I was right on the edge right there, right? And I don't know, I lost my train of thought again. I'm probably,
That's okay. We're going deep here. I mean, I think that there really is, we get so caught up in our lives, in being on our computers and being on our phones and the crazy fast pace, and you know, now everybody's really into in the United States, and I know in every part of the world there's stuff going on, but you know, we're in a crazy political moment in our country. We have a tremendous amount of polarity. There's fighting amongst friends and family and all, you know, so many things. And it's distracting, and it distracts you from what's really valuable and tangible, which is that you get to be alive right now, and you get to, gosh, I mean, I know it sounds kind of silly, but it's like, just being alive is enough.
That's
it's enough. And if you can get to just that's enough, and everything else is gravy, that maybe you get to love somebody, or you get to be around your kids, or you get to do something that makes you feel good. You get to move your body. I'm always in conversations with people, and there's somebody who just had her sister and brother-in-law like about 3 weeks ago, just killed by a drunken driver, and boom, you're out, and stuff happens. And it's really like making the most of the moment that we have, because the next moment's not really guaranteed. And I think in this time, this COVID time, that people are getting the opportunity to slow it down a little bit. Maybe it's getting a little faster now because we're getting used to it, but to like really take stock of your life and what's important and what do you value and what matters to you. And I just find your story incredibly inspiring, and what you're doing is inspiring.
Well, I appreciate you. And, it's great that, that we have this opportunity to talk this way. I don't think I've ever talked this way in a public forum for people to see. And, that's the time period, though, that we're in. These are the shoes that we're beginning to step in, you and I, and many other people, because the world needs it now, right? And we're making a transition into a whole new way of just living and being. And so I appreciate that you are doing what you're doing, and it's beautiful. It really is that you can do what you're doing. You have a point of view on life. There's a lot of people that look up to you, and your messages needs to be heard.
Up to you too, my friend. They really
Well, I
do.
appreciate them.
And I think that we've been in this business so long, and we have experienced the highs and the lows of it. And I feel like if I've got people who follow me or who are invested in me in some way, that it's a very positive energy exchange. It's like, how may I be of service to you? And I think that that's what's really required in the world right now, especially since we are so polarized and people are going through really hard times. And to be able to go, it can happen to him, and he can transform it in such a positive way and live his life with a sort of like having that goal of, I'm going to just live a great life now, not in the future, not my best years behind me, my now. And we'll see what happens when we get to the future, because it's just not here yet.
Yeah.
I can't wait to, be 90 with you. Oh, well, I'll be older than you. I'll be a lot older than you. But I think that your attitude, they've done studies that it's your attitude that heals your body. It's your attitude that makes opportunity come your way. It is your mindset that dictates how life goes. You're more open to the unusual, which means there's more of a possibility of something coming in, that if you were just closing doors and just saying it's terrible and it's bad and your head's down, but your head is up and you're looking out.
Yeah.
When you do that, I believe it is a friendly universe.
Yes, I agree.
But I believe it is a friendly universe.
I agree.
And I wanted to have this conversation with you because I really felt like your story is so inspiring, and that there are so many people who could relate. They may not have the exact same situation, but they are dealing with situations like yours, or have friends or family that are dealing with it. And I so appreciate you being candid about it and sharing it, because it's not easy.
No, it's not. And nothing is, but it's like, you have to embrace that. People want an easy way to get to where they got to go. It's not easy.
No.
Climbing, you're climbing the Himalayan mountains. It's going to be a thing, but at some point you're going to be standing on top of the mountain, and all your hard work and everything that you worked towards getting there is all going to come together, and you're going to have that moment, I want to share. So I launched 30 days after we were quarantined. I was sitting with my kids, and the first 2 weeks was like glamping. You
Right.
know, it was all fun and this and that. Then 2 more weeks went by, and I was like, okay, you know, the kids are bouncing off the wall. This is like whatever. And at that time, I told my kids, you know, I gathered them around. I'm like, we're gonna help families all around the world, because we're not the only ones in this situation right now. People are at home, stuck at home. Everyone's like, people need to exercise. People need to work out. Right now, like, we're gonna develop a fun family fitness program that people can do at home, and we're going to help people all around the world, and kids all around the world, and parents all around the world, you know. And so we created a program. It's called Kick Punch, and it's a family fun fitness program. But, you know, at the heart of it, what it's all about is, you know, the kicking and punching is a metaphor to breaking through the barriers that are holding you back from living your best life.
Right.
So we have a best life. We have an idea of a best life, whatever that is. If we don't, we need to spend the time envisioning that, exactly what that is, what it looks like. So you're not just walking without a compass, you know? And so, you know, but we all have barriers. We all have limiting belief systems. Even the people that have they're very positive. They know all whatever. But in the back of their mind, there's some limiting belief system that sneaks its way in and makes you doubt yourself, second guess yourself. You go into fear. You're now not certain. You know, it's all those things, and it's just it's a downward thing. So I launched about 6 weeks ago. I had the first 12 people. They're people from all around the world. They're exercising. I'm teaching them how to kick and punch, so they're getting an exercise in, and, you know, really just talking to them about accomplishing their goals, whatever it is that your goal is, whatever it is that you want to do. That's maybe you have fear of, oh, I don't want to do this. Whatever it is, now's the time to go for it. Now's the time to do it.
So I can have a link. You'll supply me with a link that we can attach to this so that people can find it and join you. And now this is great because it's for families, it's for kids, it's a whole
everyone. Yeah, I mean, I have people from 7 years old up to in their 60s. Yeah, and, you know, maybe what we can do is if people want to comment with fire in the comments below, then I can send fire in the comments below. I can send them directly an application form that they can fill out, and we can, you know, see if it's a right fit for being part of the program.
Okay. I love that. Okay, so they have to put fire, they have to comment, and they have to put fire in the comment.
Yep.
Perfect. And that's the emoji fire, not just—
That is the emoji fire. Yes. Yeah.
I love you so much.
Well, I love you too.
Let's keep talking. Let's, you know, keep us posted, and maybe, you know, we'll drop by and see you do a little kick punch or something.
Yeah, I would love that.
Fabulous. That's fabulous.
Okay.
I love you, my friend.
Thank you so much.
My thoughts, my prayers, my heart. I
appreciate you.
So you. And
all right, well,
we will be
let's do it again soon.
Yes.
Because the story's not over.
No, it is not over. Hell no.
All right, sounds good.
I love you, baby.
All right, see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow. Thank you, Ernie. Thank you for sharing your beautiful story with us. And thank you all for joining me today on Judith Hoag, Goddess on Fire. I'll be back soon with a little Halloween surprise for you. See you then.